Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Thursday, May the 16th. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. Today, with all these rumors in the last 2 weeks of, Bo Horvat for Jamie Benn, which won't happen, Louis Eriksson for anyone, maybe Milan Lucic, that may happen, I doubt it as well. I thought it'd be neat to take a look at what I consider the top 10 trades, the most important impactful trades that the Canucks have made in the past 2 decades, in the past 20 years. So a few qualifications real quick. You'll see really quickly that it's actually top 10 trades in 21 years, but top 10 trades in 20 years sounds way better. So it's actually 21 years. For me, for the criteria I used was impact on the franchise, obviously, the quality of players that were being traded. But most of all, that all plays into it. In essence, it's the impact on the franchise, either by the guys that came in or the guys that left. That's kind of like my main criteria. And I'm doing this all from memory, so I may mess up a couple stats here or, a draft pick here and there. But in general, I think you'll get the gist. So let's go. Top 10, not in any order from a standpoint of ranking the importance, but rather from a chronological order from oldest to the most recent. So let's go with that 21-year-old trade now. It was February 1998, and that was the trade that sent fan favorite and longtime captain, well, until Messier got here, Trevor Linden, to the New York Islanders. And in return, we got a young forward named Todd Bertuzzi and a young defenseman named Bryan McCabe. Now, really, really good trade for the Canucks. Big trade because that's our franchise player basically, and Linden going away, our longtime fan favorite. But you get Todd Bertuzzi, who obviously became into a prominent power forward, a staple of the West Coast Express. Don't forget, Markus Näslund was traded to the Vancouver Canucks a few years earlier in 1996 for Alex Stoyanov from Pittsburgh, but that's outside of my 21-year time frame. So Bertuzzi joins Näslund to start off the West Coast Express, so dominant in the early 2000s. And then Bryan McCabe, a lot of potential for him, a lot of high hopes for him as a good, strong, young defenseman, good skater, but he was a key piece in a trade that comes up in a couple minutes or so. So that's trade number one. Linden out to the Islanders, McCabe and Bertuzzi in. Trade number two came just 11 months later, January 1999. This is a big one. This is Pavel Bure going to the Florida Panthers, along with defenseman Brad Ferentz and along with defenseman Brett Hedican. So Ferentz, Hedican, and Pavel Bure, obviously the cornerstone of that trade. The other franchise player along with Linden. Now he's gone just 11 months after Linden. And in return, we get a bunch of players. Forward Mike Brown, forward Dave Gagne, defenseman Ed Jovanovski, and goalie Kevin Weeks, and a couple draft picks. But I think, Weeks was pretty good. Gagne was okay. Mike Brown didn't do much. But Ed Jovanovski was obviously the cornerstone coming back. So in essence, Bure, Ferentz, Hedican out, Brown, Gagne, Weeks, and Jovanovski, the centerpiece from Florida, coming back. So in the span of 11 months, Linden and Bure gone. Then that sets the stage for just 5 months later, the 3 trades that happened at the NHL entry draft in 1999. Brian Burke, we know the story, how he masterfully put together 3 trades to pick the Sedins at 2 and 3. The Canucks walk into that draft with the number 3 pick overall, but they want the 2 Sedins, right? They weren't sold on any other guys, Patrick Steffen and other guys that were there. So what they did is first they needed 2 picks in the top 5 for sure. So they went to Chicago. They traded Bryan McCabe, who I just talked about a couple minutes ago, the defenseman. They traded Bryan McCabe and a pick to Chicago for the 4th overall pick. So now the Canucks have number 3 and number 4. But there's no guarantee that they're going to get both Sedins at 3 and 4, because that would mean that the teams ahead of them, Tampa and then Atlanta, couldn't take either of them. So the Canucks sitting at 3 and 4, they go to Tampa at number 1 and say, hey, we'll give you pick number 4 and then also 2 later picks this draft, 2 third-round picks. So basically 3 picks, a really high one and a couple middle ones for your number 1 pick. Tampa Bay says yes. So now the Canucks are sitting with picks number 1 and 3. They can take 1 Sedin, but who knows, will Atlanta take the other Sedin at number 2? So they basically make a nice deal. They say, Atlanta, you can have number 1 pick. Give us the number 2 pick. I'm not sure if they gave someone else, but basically Atlanta didn't need anything else. They got up to number 1. But I should have looked up. I don't know if there's another throw. Maybe there's another pick in there. But the biggest thing was the Canucks gave Atlanta the first pick. The Canucks dropped down to second. Atlanta promised they would take Patrick Stefan, which they did. And then Brian Burke could announce both Daniel and Henrik Sedin at 2 and 3 respectively. So I hope you guys follow that. Basically, traded McCabe to Chicago for the 4th overall pick. Then they traded the 4th overall pick plus 2 later picks to Tampa to get 1 and 3. Then they trade 1 to Atlanta for 2. And that's how they picked Daniel and Henrik. So now, in the span of 16 months or 18 months, you have Linden gone, you have Bure gone, but now you have your 2 future leaders. Of course, they didn't get there right away. 2 franchise players in the Sedins coming in. And then, just a few months after that, I think it was March or February or March 2000. Not the hugest trade ever, but ramification still important. They trade superstar Alex Mogilny out to New Jersey, and in comes in Dennis Peterson, and more importantly, Brendan Morrison. Now with Mogilny out, Linden out, Bure out, there's basically the cornerstone of the Mike Keenan era, the Mike Keenan years. Then Messier was in there too, but he didn't get traded. He just signed somewhere else afterwards. But all those guys, those big names that led to a very disappointing team, with all those names like Näslund and Bure and Linden, Mogilny and Messier, the Canucks never reached the potential that they could. So Mogilny out, but Brendan Morrison in. And that's very important because that center, Brendan Morrison, becomes the 3rd part of the West Coast Express. With Markus Näslund, came the Canucks in 96. With Todd Bertuzzi, came the Canucks in 1998. And now you have Brendan Morrison coming in the year 2000. So you've basically made your West Coast Express over the span of 4 years. And they went on to dominate the league and be a top producing line for the Canucks for many years for the early part of those 2000 to 2005, 2006, 2007 years. It's perfect timing, right, to give times for the Sedins to evolve. So there you go. There's 6 trades right there. Basically, Linden out, Bure out, Mogilny out, and then you have coming in the 2 Sedins by the trades at the draft. You have Todd Bertuzzi coming in. You have Brendan Morrison coming in. And then Ed Jovanovski coming in as well, a very good defenseman for us. So that's 6 trades already. And it's those 6 trades done in the span of 2 years. Fast forward to 2006, where we make the trade for Roberto Luongo. So we get Roberto Luongo and defenseman Lukas Krejcik from Florida, and to Florida, a pretty big package going out that way. And that was guys like 3 key players actually. It was Alex Auld, it was defenseman Brian Allen, and it was Todd Bertuzzi. And I'm sure there's some draft picks in there, but it basically was Allen, Auld, and Bertuzzi, AAB, for Krejcik and, of course, Luongo. Alex Auld, good, I like him a lot, listen to him on the radio all the time, good, serviceable goaltender, he's very good. Brian Allen had a lot of potential as a defenseman. And then, of course, you had Ed Jovanovski, I'm sorry, not Ed Jovanovski, what am I talking about? You had Todd Bertuzzi, who had played so well for us for so many years, but it was time for him to go, 2006. So we get Krejcik, defenseman, and, of course, Roberto Luongo. And we know about Luongo's legacy, right? Team Canada, leading us to the Stanley Cup Finals, team captain, although that was an ill-fated experiment. But Luongo becomes the face of the franchise along with the Sedins for the late 2000s and then early 2010, 11, 12. So that's Roberto Luongo. So now we've done 7 trades. Then 3 trades that happened in the span of a year that I want to talk about that really shaped the team to where it is now. First one was the draft of 2013 in June. You all remember Gary Bettman's coming up to the microphone in New Jersey, of all places, with the draft choice and say, "Oh, I think you want to hear this. The Canucks traded the Cory Schneider," which was a shock, right? That Schneider-Luongo tandem. Everyone thought that Luongo was the one that was going to be traded, although his contract, I can't remember if the contract was already signed then, made it very tough. I'm sure it was. It made it very tough to move Luongo. So Cory Schneider, just as good, gets traded. And coming back was the 9th pick in the first round, the 9th overall pick in that 2013 draft, turns out to be Bo Horvat. And I don't think there's anyone that would take a redo on that trade. Everyone's happy with the way Horvat's turned out. Schneider has struggled a lot in New Jersey, but hopefully he'll find his game. He's a great guy still, and he's still got maybe a couple of years left in him, but he's getting older. But we have Bo Horvat, future captain. He's improved every season he's been in this league. So Bo Horvat, basically, the trade technically was Schneider for the 9th overall pick, and then the Canucks used that 9th overall pick for Bo Horvat. But for simplicity's sake, it's really Schneider for Bo Horvat. So obviously a very, very impactful pick for the Canucks, one that will shape their roster for many years to come. Horvat's only finished 2 years of a 6-year contract right now. So that's Bo Horvat, June 2013. Then, while John Tortorella's here, things go crazy, and Roberto Luongo gets traded in March of 2014 back to Florida. Luongo goes, career minor leader named Stephen Anthony goes, a forward that way, and then we get back 2 players. One of them is Sean Matthias, who played a couple seasons for us, and then Jacob Markstrom, a goaltender who at the time was considered the best goaltender prospect not currently playing in the NHL back in 2014. And we've seen that Jacob Markstrom, he took a couple years to get his feet wet, a couple years to get comfortable with his game, backing up Ryan Miller. But we've seen in the past 2 seasons, especially in the past season, working with Ian Clark, that he's a bona fide #1 goaltender in the league. He's got 1 more year left on his contract. Then we'll be very interested to see what happens with Thatcher Demko and Michael DiPietro waiting in their wings. So at the time, we're like, oh, that's not a lot for Roberto Luongo. Just a forward, maybe a 3rd line forward in Matthias, and then a goalie that we don't know a lot about. But now, finally, 5 years later, we see the impact that Jacob Markstrom is having, and we see that was a decent trade for the Canucks. Not the best trade ever, but a decent trade. But with all the circumstances, even unloading Luongo's contract, although there's cap ramifications for the Canucks if Luongo retires. So, but that's for another video. But obviously a big trade, given how much they gave up for Luongo, given how much he did for the Canucks, and given the fact that Jacob Markstrom is still having an impact for our team. So that was trade number 9. And then just 3 months after that, Ryan Kesler did a lot for our team, especially in those playoff runs, but started to fall out of favor with Canucks fans, Canucks management. Some would say that he hamstrung the team, got traded to the Anaheim Ducks, along with, I think, a lower draft pick. The Canucks get back Lucas Spiza, defenseman, Nick Bonino, and a 1st-round draft pick in that 2014 draft. Turns out to be Jared McCann. Jared McCann went to Pittsburgh for Gudbranson, then Gudbranson got flipped for Tanner Pearson. So in essence, it's Tanner Pearson. Bonino got traded for Brandon Sutter. So it's left on our roster still from that Kesler trade is Tanner Pearson, is Brandon Sutter, and then Lucas Spiza was lost to Vegas in the expansion draft. So really, you shouldn't really do this. It's not the best way of looking at it, but it really became Kesler for Pearson and Sutter. So when you look at salary cap, how much Kesler's making, and how he's basically broken down the past couple seasons. And when you say that Pearson and Sutter came out of that, I know a lot of people don't like Sutter. Pearson was a nice surprise. You could say that was a decent trade. Not an awesome trade, but still a decent trade for the Canucks. I've even seen some writers argue that, that the Canucks won that trade. So there you go, Canucks fans. 10 trades over the past 21 years that have shaped the franchise. Guys, really, really franchise player guys on their way out. Guys like Linden, Bure, Jovanovski, not maybe franchise player, but very good. Of course, Luongo, Kesler, very prominent players. Cory Schneider, very prominent players going out. But coming in, because of these trades, you have guys like Bo Horvat, you have guys like the Sedins, and you had obviously Ed Jovanovski and Brian McCabe, who were subsequently flipped in later deals. So, Canucks fans, I love your comments below. There's a lot there, and I'm sorry, like I said, if I messed a lot of those up. But I think I did pretty good, right, for just looking these up before I made this video. So those are the 10 trades, the most impactful trades, most significant trades that the Canucks have made in the past 20 to 21 years. Tell me which trades stand out to you. Tell me if I missed any trades. Tell me what details I completely messed up. But most importantly, tell me what you think. Which trades have really stood out to you. You don't have to make a list of 10, but just tell me which ones that have really made a difference to you and you think have made a difference to the team. Which ones are the most impactful, significant trades for you? Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply as always. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Thanks for watching this. This is a long one, but I hope it was worth it. Have a great day. God bless. Go Canucks, go.